when we're doing this market update. We're going to take a look at the markets as we usually do. And if you're new to this, or you're watching this on YouTube, my name is Alejandro Zambrano, and I am the editor at investingcube.com and also the chief market strategist at ATFX as well. And this is a daily market update where we cover all the main markets. As you know, it's going to get a bit quiet over the next week because of the bank holidays, and some of the markets are actually closed, so it's going to be very little activity, I think, next week. And then it might even, most likely, in the second week of the new year, that's when you're going to start to see activity, picking up again. So it's going to be a bit quiet, but we're going to take a look at the markets. And this is also a good time to get ready for the next year. So we do have our best trading ideas for 2020. This is an article here. You can also find it under quarterly market forecasts, and then you'll find it here. It's free to read. You just need to register, and then you can read that, and you can read many of the other outlooks as well. We have the Q1 outlook that is written by the ATFX team, and that is happening probably in the first week or so of next year. But this one is already up, which is the authors of Investing Cube, their best ideas for the new year. So you won't really want to check that out. Get yourself prepared for what may happen in the next year. Let's begin. Euro versus the dollar, not much change. I said people probably going to buy here 111.20. The market spiked upwards and then it spiked again, but we're pretty much back where we were yesterday. There's no change to the outlook here. If we do trade below 109, 110.99, we might trade a little bit lower to maybe 110.80, and then we'll see what happens. If you read the Q1 report, you'll know that I'm long-term bearish. So it wouldn't surprise me if we do go much lower. But for now, at least in the short term, the trend is bullish about 110.99. GBP versus the USD. Unfortunately, the price did trade below my trend finding level, which was the low, and that's the low just after the election outcome. On the election outcome, it went all the way up because people said, oh, wow, we're probably going to get Brexit done now. And the government has its own majority to do whatever they want, pretty much. But what they want to legislate, as you know already, is they want to legislate the ability or limit themselves to not ask for extensions. It's always good to have like a well-defined end date for any negotiations. Because as you know, for any deadline, you know how people work, right? They will literally finish it around the deadline, right? So they're putting a very firm deadline. The only problem with this though is that it takes some time to get sort of deals in motion, and that's why the market is trading lower here, because they don't necessarily believe that we're gonna get a good deal. Let's see what happens in the long run, but I am seeing some interesting patterns. If you look at the daily, you can see a massive head here, and then this being a massive left shoulder. And we might be spending the next couple of months creating a right shoulder. And then if we head higher, we could potentially go much, much higher. So let's see what happens in the longer run. We do, though, have a massive head and shoulders, as I mentioned before. I mentioned this a few years ago already. Don't want to scare anyone, but you got a big head, big left, big right shoulder. And, you know, that gives you a target, I think, of 76 or something like that. And this pattern will remain active as long as we trade 62, actually, or 63, 62.50. That pattern will remain active as long as we trade here below that 144.32 level. But that's extremely long term. I know most of you guys probably just want to hold the position over the next few hours. So yeah, in the short term, it looks like we're heading up a bit, but I will be careful here. We are working with an uptrend, but that very short-term uptrend we were working with, that failed when we traded below this level here. So I'm going to be neutral over the next few days. Here's the dollar versus the Japanese yen, and the trend is bullish, and I have pushed down the buy spot a little bit to 108.92. I think from 108.92 to 108.35, I think people might look to get involved. If we take a look now at crude oil prices, they're lingering around the highs. There's not a lot of activity here, unfortunately. If it swings down to 59.43, then that could be something. If you're short-term bullish, I think some people might buy here, stops here. The turns, if we swing all the way down to the lower end of the channel, and this is actually where I prefer to be bullish. It's going to be quite quiet, and I think as soon as liquidity comes back, maybe second week of January, it will be much more busy here, and it won't necessarily stop the markets to go upwards. Like look at the Nasdaq 100, which yesterday leaped higher as well. I think what's happening here is you got pension money coming in by the end of the month, which can lift this further as well. You have people being short. Remember, most people have been very, very bearish because of the yield curve and all of that. They all been sort of very, 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 very bearish, and then the trade deal and whatnot. But this is a very solid uptrend in the S&P from Nasdaq 100, and realistically, we'll probably have further gains going forward. I think, and that's actually one of my themes for 2020, that will probably have higher stock market gains. But I analyzed the Dow there actually, so if you want to check out the levels I have for that, then you check it out, because I do think here we can have probably some bit of a pullback at one point. We did have a little pullback in the Nasdaq 100, but not very much. Here's the Dow Jones, the S&P. I think the S&P, I'm bullish here as well, and I've been bullish for quite some time, as you know. And I'm just waiting for the correct entry level. You might feel that you're missing out, but guys, don't never feel like that. What happens is sometimes you do miss out, but sometimes it literally just stands still. And when you look at the markets, it's all about risk-reward ratios. That's what I will be looking at. And the risk-reward ratio has not been good here for quite some time, and that's why I'm looking for that pullback. And 3156.4 is the pullback for the S&P 500. And here's the German DAX. Here we did have an entry trigger already a few days ago. The German DAX took out the high, and then that turned things bullish and went down 50% correction. As I turn bullish from here, let it go upwards, and so far it's looking good. Of course, it's gonna get quiet now, I think, over the next few days, especially Europe. What we did miss, we didn't talk about yet, is gold. The gold is pretty much trending sideways. There's not much happening. It is guided by this short-term channel, and from 1462.54 and 1449.76, the trend is bullish, and some people might try to get involved down here. Let's see if you guys have any questions. And here's the link, by the way, to that's the link for the top trade ideas for 2020. You can just access that, and if you're not a member, it's actually free to sign up. It looks like this. So you can either log in, or you can just register, or you can just sign in with Facebook or Gmail. It's very straightforward. You sign in, and then it's done. If you click on register, it's also like this. Okay, in the chat box we have Antonio. Good morning to you, sir. I hope you're doing well, and thanks so much for joining us. Antonio here has been watching my webinars for quite a few years, and I haven't seen you for a while, so I'm happy to see you back here in the chat box. I hope you have a good holiday if you're taking time off next week. Okay, so then we're going to wrap things up. Guys, if you have any questions at all, as you know, you can always reach out to me via Twitter and WhatsApp. Have a great day. Thank you, and bye-bye. Cheers.